We see continued interest from Australia, Asia, generally speaking, ex-China, Europe, even Latin America, really.
Which markets has it affected the most, the Chinese pullback?
The gateway cities, New York, Miami, LA, San Fran.
All right, so let's talk about where you are seeing opportunity. We know that there's been a lot of interest, particularly in senior housing, and you've been among those interested. Can you tell us a little bit about where the opportunity is there?
Sure. On the senior housing side, you've got a demographically driven sector where you're going to see huge demand increases over the next 20 years. So we're going from essentially 40 million Americans 65 and older to 80 in 2030. That's from 2010 to 2030. So obviously a huge demand increase on the housing side. We play the higher end of that sector. So we're in private pay major markets, sort of top 75 MSAs. And we think we're in the very early stages of, a very significant sector cycle.
All right. A lot of people have been talking about this for a while. Everyone's getting older, getting sicker, needs somebody to take care of them and change the diapers. But the thing is, we haven't actually seen that happen as much. And people are actually staying healthier. And to the degree they can, they're staying in their home with new advancements. And we're not seeing the turnover in housing. What's going to sort of tip the scales here?
I'd say to some extent that's true. To some extent it's not. What we're really looking at is a lifestyle. So what we own are places where people go to live, not to die. So the social connectivity, the lifestyle, we've got a saying, a mantra, if you will, cruise ship living on land, which kind of depicts what we're shooting for. And that's where, places where people wake up in the morning and they say, I want to do yoga at 8, I want to do Pilates at 9, I'm going to eat at 11, I've got a spa service at 1, I've got happy hour at 3:30, and then they wake up the next day and decide what they're going to do then, too.
So Boca.
Boca.
Is it Boynton Beach? I mean, is that where you're in? Like, where are
We've
these
got
places?
heavy concentrations in the southeast and southwest, so we obviously gravitate towards the demographic inflow states, but we've got a great property here in New York, and we look for major markets where you've got enduring demand dynamics and supply constraints.
All right, so senior housing, hot. Another hot area, warehouses. We've seen a lot of investors, including Blackstone, invest heavily in the warehouse industry. Are there still opportunities, or are prices now so high that it's a good time to sell?
That's probably a better question for Blackstone than for me. We've got a very specific investment focus with what we do. So we do senior housing, medical office, student housing, all demographically driven, all operationally intensive, all highly fragmented sectors. So, it would just be pure speculation on my part, but the thesis for us is to be not correlated to the macro economy or to the real estate cycle. So what we're looking to do is have very steady cash flows driven by those enduring demand dynamics and supply constraints. So warehouse, I would say, has been largely driven by increasing demand, but we have yet really, since industrial's gotten hot, to see a pullback. And at some point, we're going to have a recession here in the U.S., if not a global recession, and that certainly may impact the positive trend that we're seeing on the warehouse
Which
side.
is exactly where I wanted to go, actually, because we've seen a number of figures out of the U.S. that have actually been positive, shown increasing strength in the U.S. property market. Do you think that that means that we have another couple of years before that downturn in the real estate market?
On the opinion side, I would say yes. I think we're in a Goldilocks economy for real estate. I don't see a catalyst in the near term that's going to have interest rates spike higher. So asset valuations as a result are going to stay high. And I think it's a very good environment for real estate generally. So I think even if you're looking at the more what I'll call commoditized asset classes like multifamily housing, we see enduring demand dynamics for at least the next few years.